For today's spooktastic Roblox review video, I'll be doing the completely original and never done before idea of doing short little mini reviews on a handful of Roblox games, all in the package of one video. But what makes this different from the rest of those other lame-o review channels out there is that this one's horror themed and hopefully releasing in the month of October. That way you can actually get your Halloween spook on with your friends and randoms you meet in game. Small disclaimer, I won't be featuring Doors or any other FNAF games on this video due to both of these games getting their own video in the future, plus everyone's already heard of them. But besides from that, on to the first game. Residence Massacre is probably the shortest game in today's video because the game's still in early development, but I think with all the content we have now, you'd still have fun playing it. The game's premise is you and your friends get home from work and are warned of a mysterious anomaly that lurks in the woods and has been breaking into homes in the middle of the night, and now it's your job to protect you and your home up until 6 a.m. Closest thing I can compare this to is FNAF. Now, while the gameplay can be compared to FNAF, it's far from it to the point that it feels original. In FNAF, you're just shut in a room and you're forced to check cameras and doors. In Residence Massacre, you have to actually go around and set up said cameras and board up the window of the house to protect yourself. You have until 12 a.m. to get everything you need ready to go, and once the clock strikes 12, that's when things get serious. The main gameplay loop is to go around the house keeping eyes on all the windows on both floors, because that's where he tries to get in through. Once you do notice him trying to get in, you must rush to the nearest light switch to scare him away. One of the scariest feelings is having to turn your back to him to try and turn on the light. Now, I know you may just be tempted to leave the room light on, but sadly that doesn't work and can cause all the power of the house to go out, leaving you defenseless until you go and repair it in the generator behind the house. Another gimmick is the gas powering the house's ventilation. Behind the house there's a little shed with a power generator in it. It's your job to keep that thing running because once it drops to zero, the house quickly begins to lose oxygen, killing anyone who's still unlucky to be inside. The oxygen mechanic is honestly a lot more scarier than the monster itself, because it forces you, or one unlucky friend, to go outside all alone to repair the generator, which can be extremely dangerous if you're not aware of the monster's current location at the time. And it's even harder if you're lonely enough to be playing this game by yourself. That's the thing. There's so much to micromanage and take care of while playing alone and isolated, which results in the game becoming extremely nerve-wracking and stressful. But on the contrary, when you're loaded up in a 2 to 4 player game with a bunch of friends or randoms on VC, the game becomes a lot more casual, seeing as you can always split people up to watch a certain floor at all times. And if you're unlucky enough to let him inside, there's always a closet you can hide in until he leaves or just randomly decides to check it and kill you. After about 7-ish minutes, you've survived the first night. Now you've unlocked the Blood Moon, which is just a much darker / harder version of the first night, but that's not what I want to discuss right now. On the first night, if you wait up until 3 a.m., you'll hear a mysterious little ghost ambience. Most players won't think nothing much of it and continue to waiting out the night. But if you build up enough courage to head straight outside the house into the telephone pole across the street, you'll find a lonesome ghost boy crying all alone. If you decide to interact with him, he'll ask you to set his spirit free, and if you accept, you'll be teleported into a bedroom. This is the Spirit Helper minigame. Imagine the joy of creation night 1, but you have free roam and it's not nearly as scary as that masterpiece was. The goal here is to obviously survive till 6 a.m., but there are a few things you have to manage and look out for, just like the joy of creation. You have to keep your sanity low or else you'd pass out and die. You can use the bear and the lamp to come for you throughout the run. Just don't leave your lamp on too long or else it dies. The alarm clock, on the other hand, does the complete opposite. Every in-game 10 minutes or so, it'll go off, causing your sanity to skyrocket if you're not quick enough to turn it off. When it comes to the monster itself, it has 4 points of entry into the bedroom: the entrance, the window, the closet, and the vent. Basically just wait until he's on his third phase and then hide under the bed. Overall, a solid 7 spooks out of 10. My honest to god only gripe with this game is that the monster is just funny and does an awful job at scaring the player. A much more creepy and eerie approach to this would be to make the killer just some random man who's trying to break into your home. Instead of him just climbing up onto the window, what if he used the ladder you have outside to get up there and you could hear him setting it up? It'd play more into the realistic side of horror and be a lot more scarier than just some try-hardy monster. Besides from that, the gameplay loop and overall old Roblox aesthetic is quite great, and I'm impressed with what we have so far. My Eyes Deceive is one of those single-player, slow-driven, story-based psychological horror games. That just means there aren't many jump scares and that it relies mostly on the story it's trying to tell than horror itself. Closest thing I can relate it to is Jim's computer.
You should kill yourself now!
Or stereotypical lobby. Or just the original game it's based off of, because this game is just a port of a game that was made on itch.io a while back, but I really like how the game looks here, so I wanted to recommend it anyway. The game creates and maintains a creepy atmosphere and makes the player constantly feel uncomfortable and skeptical about what's going on at all times. The story itself is very good and has a really dark turn that I won't be spoiling due to it being the whole reason why one would pick up the game in the first place, so I highly suggest just playing it for yourself. 7 out of 10 spooks. Reflection is my personal favorite on the list due to how just outright great this game is and the fact that it's literally inspired by the first ever horror game I was brave enough to complete. I'm Scared. A game so good, Markiplier had to play it twice. Oh, and it's also inspired by some niche little indie game that came out back in late 2020 or something. I don't know. Moving on, Reflection has a beautiful 2D/3D pixel art aesthetic, and it honestly doesn't even really feel like I'm playing a Roblox game. It feels like something I'd actually pay for, which is probably why the Game Pass has cost so much, but you know, we're just gonna forget about that. In Reflection, you play the character tasked to complete a various amount of puzzle and tasks, which help unravel the lore and story behind this game. Now, the summary honestly might not be the most in-depth explanation or telling of this game's lore, but it's all I can really make out of it. I know the devs are trying to tell a story here, but seeing as the game is sort of unfinished and the lore beats don't really pick up till Act 3, I'll be avoiding that and instead talking about what makes this game so great: the puzzles. Reflection is a puzzle-based horror game. You're meant to use your brain here and to figure out the task at hand to progress. The game begins with you in a random room accompanied by a little fireplace. You exit said room and enter into a desolated mansion. You explore around the mansion from top to bottom, completing honestly somewhat intricate puzzles and tasks, with a few run-ins with jump scares. And that's all for Act 1. It's a very solid starter and fun experience to go through, especially with friends. The feeling of figuring out things as you go along is so dope, and the puzzles aren't too complicated where you feel like you'd never figure them out. Act 2 has you out in the mansion's hedge garden maze, and it's honestly a small low point for the game. Instead of figuring out puzzles, you're instead just walking around the maze following these red arrows until you make it to some candles or get jumped by some thing.
No, it's the pattern right here. Okay, we're gonna go. Let me do it. I'm smart.
Are you?
Yeah. And this guy shut up, man. He's really distracting me.
Yeah, God, man, he's so distracted.
Alright, and then we go down. Yeah, okay, now. Alright. Alright, we go.
Can you guys find me before you start?
Can you be
stuff?
quiet so we can figure out the puzzle, please?
I need help here. I am alone.
Where are you?
I need help.
No, but where are you?
Yeah, where are you? We found the key.
Well, then we're
found
just
the
gonna
key.
do it.
Yeah, we're just gonna do it without you.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay. What? How do you picture this, Sam? Hey, critic. Oh, that's not critic. Oh man, I love this game, dude.
Afterwards, you grab the key and then head back inside to catch a nap. Act 3 is where I feel as if the story part of this game picks up, and honestly, I'm all for it. There's some pretty interesting ideas going on here, and the ambience and horror part is once again really good. And Fractal managed to produce a pretty decent horror game that was an even better puzzle game. It's basically a digital escape room you can enjoy with your friends. Although the puzzle quality dips after Act 1, I still enjoy it for what it is. And I have high hopes that the devs have more planned for the later acts in development, not to mention my friend Sam, who hates puzzles, came out of the game saying it was a solid 8 out of 10.
Something says, give me my plate of food. I will look for something to give you in return.
Okay, maybe that's the guy.
I hate this shit. I hate fucking solving puzzles. Don't be saying that.
What do you guys give the game out of 10?
Definitely
I give it an 8.
8 out of 10. Yeah, I'd say an 8. You know, I don't personally like horror puzzle games,
yeah,
but like
really
this is pretty fun.
You get to play with a friend. You get to play with a friend.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very fun.
So please add me and Sam, and Critics, like right here in Toronto, please.
That'd be pretty silly. You should.
Yeah.
Definitely, guys. Definitely should do that.